Coming to you live from the Business Radio X studio, it's Franchise Marketing Radio, brought to you by IDS, an award-winning digital marketing agency that delivers integrated marketing solutions for franchisors, franchisees, and franchise development teams. Learn why over 75 brands depend on IDS's team of dedicated marketers and client service professionals to deliver a strong ROI on their marketing investment. Go to idsfranchisemarketing.com for a complimentary digital audit and consultation.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Franchise Marketing Radio. I'm your host, Rob Ganley. And I always start my podcast this way, but I really love my guests. So it's great to have our guest here today. His name is Paul Linenberg. He is the CEO and president of an awesome brand called Got You Covered. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Rob, thank you. So glad to be with you today.
Absolutely. It's great having you. You know, one of the best ways to start these conversations is to ask, how did you get in that seat, that opportunity of working with Got You Covered? And how do you see the future for the brand?
Well, I got into franchising as I think, Rob, in my experience, most people in franchising got here accidentally. I don't know that I've ever actually met somebody that said, this was my plan all along. I haven't met that person yet, which is great. And so we all share that common bond in franchising. So I was just kicking around. I had been in acquisition sales, working corporate, small businesses. I started a few companies on my own and found myself 14 years ago looking for my next opportunity. I ran into the founder of Got You Covered. We hit it off. He brought me on board as the VP of marketing. And a couple of years after that, he said, "Hey, Paul, I'm kind of worn out on running the company. Would you be interested in taking that role?" And I had never aspired to that, Rob, but it seemed like a great opportunity and a challenge. Like I could just learn a lot from it. So I accepted, and it's just been a fantastic ride. I have loved every minute of it. So Got You Covered. Our franchise owners sell custom window treatments. We serve kind of the higher end of the market. We offer all kinds of window treatments for the interior of a window, hard treatments, blind shutter shades, and then the soft treatments, curtains, and anything with the fabric. So that's what Got You Covered does.
That's amazing. That's hilarious that input you just provided, because my story is kind of similar, right? So I'm doing this interview with you today. Obviously, my background is franchising and digital marketing, and I got involved for some of the same reasons. And then in the early 2000s, looking for the best ways to do marketing, I drifted over to digital, right? Because it was kind of hot and new. Yeah. And then, I'm trying to figure out, how do I market franchises with digital marketing, right? Way back in the day when Google was just getting started. And so that's I didn't intend to keep going that direction, but it worked so well that it kind of opened the door to starting a digital marketing business for franchises. So again, it wasn't on purpose, but it led to a pretty amazing career. So I do love that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Great to hear. So listen, tell me a little bit more about, your approach. So a lot of growth. I know you have planned, a lot of optimism from that point of view. Tell me a little bit about what's going on today in the world. I mean, obviously, probably one of the best places to be is in a franchise brand, but there's a lot of uncertainty, I guess, in the economy, at least for some folks. But as a CEO and leader, how do you kind of manage that? How do you deal with that?
I think franchising is so important, and you and I love this. We're passionate about this because we know that this is a great model and system and an approach to building small businesses, and we give people the opportunity to do something that would be very, very difficult to do on their own. With the tried and true benefits of franchising, the training, the support, the negotiated vendor, like the marketing, all those things that are built into any franchise system. Now, that being said, my crystal ball stopped working a long time ago, Rob. And I mean, would any of us have imagined COVID or a 2-year shutdown of the world, right? And hopefully that's the last time I ever mentioned that word. But so now we're at another phase of uncertainty, right? And what does that look like? The reality is that we're gonna do the best we can to adapt to the changing situation, right? I don't know what the future looks like in terms of consumer demand for home services, for cars, electronics. Like I don't know what that looks like, but one of the things that we like about our model is that our products and services are both a need and a want. Right? People do need something on their windows, so they may or may not go all out initially. It may be a phased and scaled approach, but so far we're really happy to report that even the inflation that's hit our economy, so this is December of 2022, has not really impacted us yet, and we pay very close attention to this because when inflation hits, right, and it hurts everybody, and so when it costs $50 to fill your tank, and now it costs $100, right? That hurts, but for our clients, it doesn't really hurt that much, for better or for worse. So we haven't seen a slowdown in that, and we're optimistic that we won't. But we're prepared to do that, right? This is not putting our heads in the sand, hoping for the best and not planning, right? What we see in sort of downturn is that long term it gives us an opportunity, because when times get tough, in our industry or any industry, the strong survive. And what we like about how we're positioned is that our industry is still very fragmented. There's not a lot of window treatment companies out there. So when the pie shrinks, we're gonna sustain. We're gonna come out of that, so that when on a rising economy, when the pie starts to expand again, we've gained market share, and we're going to come out of it in anything that we go through. We're going to come out of it much better than the vast majority of our competition. So yeah, we have to deal with some things along the way, and we'll adjust. And we have a lot of ways to do that. There's a range of products and services that we offer, and we're going to make it work. Where there's a commercial component to our business, and we'll just come out of it. Whatever happens, we'll come out of it stronger than we went into it.
Yeah, you know what? And I know if you're not sitting in your seat or mine, that last sentence, we'll come out of it stronger, might sound like, well, really? I mean, depending on what it is, but even with COVID, is we just said it. We don't even want to talk that word, right? When we were interviewing franchisors back then in 2020, and every story that we talked about was an amazing innovation, an amazing collaboration between the franchisees and the franchise brand, saying, we'll figure this out.
Yeah.
And in every situation, they were stronger. Everything they did to innovate or change, most of those things are still in place and being leveraged in some way. So they were able to actually improve the business. Not that there weren't challenges or bumps in the road while that was all going on, but it really was the genesis of some new thinking and new ideas. And that's the benefit, right? That's the beauty of franchising, is that you're part of a bigger sum, right? And exactly. So a challenge comes along and it makes you stronger in this kind of a scenario, which is why I love it too. So with that, yeah. So with this kind of a business model, obviously I've noticed you guys were recognized earlier in the year by Colorado Biz Magazine, top 200 franchises in 2022. You're obviously growing. When you launch a new location and you get someone going through that, say the first 12 months, is there a marketing formula or something around marketing that you really like, something that you feel just works well for you guys, something you could share that you just know that this has to be there for this to work well?
Yeah, we're a little old school in that area, Rob. So again, the power of franchising, right? We can do things that an independent. I almost feel sorry for our independent competitors. I don't quite feel sorry, but almost. It's close, because they just don't have the savvy that we can bring to bear, the resources we can bring to bear in so many areas. But marketing, like my background's marketing too. I could probably share some stories about the early 2000s and what that looked like, the wild west of the internet. It was great.
It was.
Yeah, but yeah, there's a lot, right? In our world, when a franchise owner comes on board, we just tell them up front, like there's two bodies of knowledge that you're going to have to really get your arms around. One is product, and it's a lot, and that's the big one. But then marketing, right? We say that we think about a marketing company that just happens to sell window treatments. our franchise owners never have to think about it that way, but we really do want to educate them on marketing. So there's a lot there. Back again, when you and I started, Google was the thing. And if you got on the homepage of Google as a business, that was like hitting the lottery. Well, still billions of people are on Google, but they're also elsewhere. They're on Angie and Home Advisor and Yelp and HomeStars and this whole world of social media that didn't exist when you and I got into this world. So there's a lot of things that have to be done. And so we work with our franchise owners. We try to automate the things that we can automate. So Facebook postings, for an example, we send out on behalf of our owners Facebook postings 2 to 3 times every single week, so that at the very minimum, they have a presence on Facebook. And then we encourage them and train them on how to add their own postings so that they can become the face of Gotcha Covered in their market. So there's a whole side of digital, but when I mentioned old school marketing, we're still a referral-based business, and we think, and we see this in our statistics all the time, it's maybe more true now than it ever has been, the power of the referral. So we strive to find owners that are outgoing, they are socially connected, and that interests them, and that drives them, and that motivates them, because we want them to go out into the world, join a chamber of commerce, join a leads group, join a realtor association, whatever, and make connections with local businesses and professionals who then will become a source of referrals for our franchise owners and vice versa, right? This is we need to be reciprocal to our business partners. Thanks for the word. So yeah, there's kind of like two sides for us, and they both, of course, work in tandem with each other. It's a very collaborative, cooperative marketing strategy that we have for owners, and it's critical, right? Just to continue, Rob, for just a second, when we have our training classes and we teach marketing, the first thing we say is, hey guys, does anybody drink RC Cola? And I get like, what? I've heard of that, but I haven't seen it in 15 years, whatever. And I say, why do we drink Coke instead of RC Cola? I don't know if RC Cola is any better or worse tasting, but it's because of marketing. And so that's the difference. That's why marketing is so powerful, is because and so important to the success of any company. So we really, really believe that at Gotcha Covered, and we train and we support according to the importance of marketing.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing answer. And I have found a lot of franchisors do employ that approach. And again, as simple as the way you explained it, it does take somebody that has a certain background to understand that you should do it. The idea of having a B2B and a B2C side, and integrating, partnering, joint venturing, working with businesses. There's probably different ways that you can do it depending on the types of businesses, but that allows you to build a foundation, right? Then you have a brand behind you that provides credibility that helps with that. Yeah. And then you have the B2C side. And I was going to ask you about when you're doing the B2C, when you first said referrals, I immediately thought B2C referrals, which I'm sure is big too. So I was going to ask you your thought too on, when you say referrals, like sometimes the bigger focus has to be just in nurturing your audience, right? Like a birthday campaign, right? Something that's automated that just says, hey, happy birthday to all the people you've sold to, right? Because you're top of mind a little more, maybe they'll mention you again to someone. And that, again, that is something as simple as that can be so impactful for a business owner if he can execute, right? Consistently. Sure. But I was thinking there first, and then, how technology can help with that. And but then you get back into the integration, sort of the local business partnering side of it. That's great for really getting into the community, right? And finding ways even to give back. Do you have any stories like that where your local owners are kind of getting in making a difference in some way with a business or in some kind of partnership? Anything like that you guys see happen?
So many things come to mind, but one of my favorite phrases, Rob, as a marketing person, a digital marketing person like you, despite the incredible amount of technology and tracking and the sophistication we're used to, my favorite marketing phrase these days is that customer service is the new marketing. Because I think that just encapsulates so much of the power of what you just said, is when you make that personal connection. We hear all the time that our franchise owners, we're very consultative with our clients. So when we go into the home, there's trust, there's credibility, there's friendships that develop from that all the time. And I don't know if you know this about Got You Covered, but we have a 4.9 out of 5-star reputation across our entire system, all time and locations. And we're not aware of any other company that has that that's our size. If you ever hear about somebody, please let me know. But we're really proud about that because we think it speaks to the client-focused approach that we take. Our owners will walk out of appointments, they'll get hugs, they get invited to the picnic this weekend. It becomes a very, very personal thing. And then just being tied to the community, doing, just involvement in whatever that looks like. Our owners are involved in dozens and dozens of organizations in their communities to be a part of that. Wow. A lot of stuff there.
Exactly. And, of course, reviews, we all know how powerful Google listings are. Yes. And maps, and we're all on our phones looking for businesses and looking for answers. And so by being great at customer service, you can optimize a listing that is really one of the best ways to do it. I mean, you can only do so much other than buy advertising, right? Yes. But if you just naturally want to be more present, that's one of the main things that you can do is just do good work, and you get review. Of course, asking, and I'm sure you guys do ask for the reviews more often, but again, then that reflects in your credibility and in people really trusting you, making that quick answer. I think there's probably something about if people look and see a 4-star review, you might have a shot. 5-star, you're good. Now I'm going to compare the 5 stars. But anything below 4, you're really in trouble, right? Which is amazing. But again, so if you're putting your franchisees in that, and again, very few have a 5-star average, but something close, right? And but that's amazing. 4.9 or whatever you just shared it's
incredible. Yeah.
That's good stuff. So I know we kind of hit on some cool things and a lot of I think impactful points were made here. But at being in your position, I know we both talked earlier before the interview about the industry, about, getting into it and how much we care about it. But, here's the thing. You're in a scenario that you have a view of things that is pretty unique, right? Especially in your industry, but certainly in franchising as well. But in your years of doing this, is there one thing, is there something you like to share if you're mentoring someone or if you're training someone to learn from you? Is there anything you kind of start with, a foundation, or is there anything you want to share before we wrap things up?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think that culture beats process every single time. So we're very keen on the culture of Got You Covered because I think that when you have shared values, you don't have to coach, train, or correct people like a lot. It just kind of comes together. I would say that our guiding principle has always been franchise first. I never articulated it in that way until many years after I took over the ownership of the company. But I just had that mentality naturally, understanding that our clients are our customers, and that if that's the guiding principle, then everything drives from that. Everything, it makes it really easy because I don't know that I work that hard. Maybe I'm lazy. I don't know, but like when you have something so straightforward, you don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. Your decisions are almost made by themselves, because then you can just focus on, hey, is this in the best interest of our franchise owners? What are we doing to help our franchise owners, right? And that has kind of fueled a little bit of our growth too, Rob, as you know, and others know, right? When our owners are happy and successful, and we have candidates who may be in the audience who are thinking about different franchises, and they talk to the current owners, like that's a really important part of the process. When folks talk to our owners, they usually hear pretty good things because they feel they know that we truly, truly are here for our franchise owners. They are our priority, and we dedicate ourselves to them. And that's what gets us up. That's where the passion comes from, is helping people succeed. And then when they find the success, the combination of income and lifestyle that they join the system for, like, what's more gratifying than that? I mean, it's just fantastic to be a part of that. And again, why I love franchising, because what other industry are you able to do that? So, yeah, maybe there are, sure, but boy, what a great opportunity you and I have to help people.
Yeah. Earlier you were talking about the Wild West a little. Yeah. And there was certainly a lot of folks that would take your money any way they could. The one thing I love about the idea of franchising that other folks can get involved with a brand and start a business. The brand you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself.
Yes.
What happens to you happens to the brand. It's all one organism, right? And it really works.
Yes.
It's why it works, right? Because what you just said, as if you had to say it, but just from a financial, legal, and practical point of view, they win, you win, and that is the way it was structured, which makes franchising unique compared to many other business ventures that you might be presented with that may not have that same relationship with their partner. But that's amazing, and it was great that you shared that. I agree. It is nice when you kind of know what your marching orders are, and you have a guiding light, and can just focus on execution or whatever it is that day.
So much easier.
All right. Well, listen. You have been a pleasure. Is there a good website that folks can learn more about the brand and about the opportunity?
Yeah, sure. Our consumer-facing site is just gotchacovered.com, and our franchise-facing website is gotchacoveredfranchising.com. Again, gotchacovered.com and gotchacoveredfranchising.com. Beautiful.
Well, I tell you, Paul, it's been a pleasure to have you on today. I hope to have you again in the future, and good luck to the brand.
I love it. Great conversation, Rob. Thank you so much for having me today.
You got it. And thank you to the audience, and bye for now.